It's deranged, royal fae. They'll act crazy all day. They'll apologize for the fail, but still scream and wail. It's deranged, royal fae. Yeah!
So here I was going to record in certain areas, and of course I had to be loud as it could be, right? My beard is really starting to come in. As soon as I leave camp, it's going. All of it's shaved. All of it, even the belly. I've been wearing crop tops, so you can able to see that happy trail or snail trail, whatever you want to call it. Hi! I didn't say hi. Hello. Oh my glistening eyes. I am an anime character, but tell me something I didn't know. I've noticed recently, this morning I just thought about, hey, I've been biting a lot less because I give a lot less of a fuck. A lot's happened. I feel like every time I do a Mental Monday, a lot's happened, and I guess that's the point of Mental Mondays, because a lot happens to need to have a mental breakdown. Well, I'll start with a more recent thing. I entirely regret the weekend before this will be up. So not the weekend directly before, but the week before. We had staff break, and my original plan was just to stay here, enjoy the quiet, be able to, mess around with Bae a little via video chat. And then I got this stupid horn. I was trying to flick away a mosquito, or get away a mosquito, and accidentally stopped. Stupid horny brain, and brain in general, impulsive brain, decided, what if I got an Airbnb or something with better internet connection, just so I could game and, have better connection with Cappy and potentially friends, depending on if people wanted to join. Ended up just being me and him, but I fucked up so badly, and everything went so badly. First of all, the Airbnb I ended up booking, I misread the checkout time as 3 p.m. That was actually the check-in time. I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, a place actually lets you check out at 3? Oh my god! Who's a dumbass? And so what I should have done, besides reading everything, also the place had a hot tub, but I didn't read that it was a public hot tub, so I didn't even use it. But besides the fact that it showed up before hot tub hours were just right before hot tub hours were over, and there was a shit ton of people there anyway, so I was like, nope. Yeah, so besides reading everything, I should have just booked for 2 nights. Just in case, so I didn't feel rushed, or, just not booked anything at all. Because what ended up happening was the day we were going to leave, I see that the only shuttles to and from, so they had the camp organized, having shuttles to help the staff get to and from. And the only shuttle that was coming back on, so staff break started halfway through the day on Friday, and then we had training on Monday. And by training, it means everyone else had to do training, and I could just do laundry. And same with most support staff. But yeah, so the only shuttle they had going back to camp, at least the only one that they did by the time I'm about to leave, is at 2 p.m. Now, with time zone difference, 2 p.m. is the time that my partner and friends in the UK would be going to bed. Meaning I'd have to haul ass from wherever I am to the pickup area by 2. I'd have to be gone before 2. Meaning I had to cut into whatever time I had. And by this point, I have also realized my mistake about check-in, check-out time. So my thought was, I'll just go to a library and chit-chat there until it's time to go back to whatever shuttle or whoever is giving me a ride. Because I didn't have a guaranteed ride for sure, so I only wanted to depend on the shuttle times they had available. Also, I almost didn't get to go on the 6 p.m. shuttle to town, because when I first talked to them, yeah, so we got a perfect number of people for 6 p.m., so we're not doing the 8 p.m. Oh, fuck me, I guess. And then at 5:50, they're like, okay, we got you on the 6 p.m. Oh shit, okay, finishing up work, packing the rest of my stuff, god damn. But yeah, So, the shuttle goes to and from the Safeway, or for those who don't know what a Safeway is, it's like a pharmacy, grocery corner store, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's not a corner store, but it's usually like a grocery store with like a pharmacy inside it. But yeah, so I find out that 2 p.m. is the only time back, and I'm like, that's not enough time. This is literally the only thing I'm going for. So I should have booked 2 nights if I was going to go at all. I should have just booked 2 nights, just toughed it out. So, because Airbnbs also could be way cheaper, especially if you like book it a little in advance. I only book it like 2 days in advance, so it was a couple hundred, you know, a good chunk of my paycheck. But yeah, so I paid for it before my paycheck had come in, so I overdrafted, and I had to pay an overdraft fee as well. So many bad ideas, so many mistakes on me, completely on me, not blaming anyone else. I mean, I do blame my work a little bit for not giving us the shuttle times sooner than later. They should have been productive on that. But that's for a very small detail. That's not for every other stupid decision I fucking made. But yeah, so because I find out 2 p.m., like, that's not enough time, why is there only one shuttle back on Saturday at 2 p.m.? Because, like, they had a couple shuttles back on Sunday, and that Sunday's, like, the last day, like, we have to be back Sunday night kind of thing. So it's just like, okay, interesting flex. Don't know why. So I end up deciding, okay, fuck it, I guess I'm going to see if I can stay another night. I tried checking the Airbnb already booked, and like, yeah, sorry, we are full. If you see me blowing things around, it's probably mosquitoes. So they're like, yeah, no, sorry, we're full. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll book somewhere else and see if they'll let me do early check-in. Because around like 10 a.m. my time is around the time that I would start hanging out with Cappy or UK friends, etc. So I get on the 6 p.m. shuttle. I pay another couple of $100 for like the cheapest hotel, motel, inn, whatever you want to call it, because, you know, it's the day before. You're not going to get any cheaper. So now I've spent more than half my paycheck, because it's a few 400 plus, and my paycheck's like 600-ish, a little under 700, you know. It's under 700, more than 600, but I paid more than 400, almost like practically 500 now. One of the places I paid a couple hundred, the Airbnb. So get on the shuttle, we're at Safeway. This is a small fucking town. No one warned us that it's like nearly impossible to get a taxi or an Uber or a Lyft, anything like that. So me and like 6 other people are stranded. 6, 7, whatever it was. We're all stranded at the Safeway. And I went and because I still am qualifying for my food stamps, fortunately. So that was awesome. I let them know that I'm making income. So it's not like I'm like lying or anything. At least they should have the updated information. And if they didn't update that information, I tried. But yeah, so I used my food stamps to get myself some groceries, both for like that weekend and for bringing back to the camp. And I felt really stupid that I even brought a bunch of food, because I was like, I can just buy food from the Safeway. I also didn't know until like the day of that I was going to be going to a Safeway. So I just kind of packed a bunch of food, because you never know. Better safe than sorry, right? Instead of overpacking. But yeah, so we're stranded at the Safeway for a few hours. And the only way, like, I actually had, like, where I was staying was, like, only, like, a 30-minute walk, and knowing me would have been shorter. It wasn't even, like, a 5-minute drive, you know. But I ended up now having a heavy shopping bag, grocery bag, whatever you want to call it. And I also didn't want to leave these guys stranded, but also I didn't want to carry the heavy grocery bag along with my other bags. So also, because I, like, last minute packed everything in, like, 5-10 minutes, I had already started doing the packing. I had, like, gathered things that I knew I wanted to bring, etc. And then I found out, like, 5-10 minutes before that I'm going, and also that I had decided, like, within those last, like, 10 minutes before that, decided to do 2 nights. So I was like, I guess I'm going to need a little extra. I guess that means I'm going to have as much time as I want. You know, that day in between on Saturday. But yeah, so I am stranded at a Safeway with 6 other staff members, and we're trying to figure out how the hell we're going to get to where we're going, because 3 of them are going to this party Airbnb thing, the other 4 are going to their own private Airbnb thing, and the people going, a group of 4, they were actually going the same direction as me, but, you know, of course, I'm like only 5-minute drive, if even, and then they're like 15, 14, so the only reason we were able to leave is because the group of 4's Airbnb host was a fucking angel and came and picked us all up and was willing to drop off the group of 3 even though they were in the opposite direction, which, like, I didn't give her a choice. I dropped $5 on her passenger seat and I said, I'm not letting you take no for an answer. I'm not taking no for an answer, kind of thing. And because it's just like, that was amazing of her, above and beyond. Give her a tip. Like, holy shit, thank you. Like, for me, it wasn't even like out of her way at the very least, but I know like none of the group of 3, it's a smaller group, didn't do anything, so I was like at the very least for them, and just the idea that she was just such a fucking angel, fucking. But yeah, so bad decisions all around. I get to my Airbnb like right before 10 p.m, like 9:45 or so, and I'm stressed, I'm anxious, I've got a pit in my stomach. The entire way to the town was regretting the entire thing. The day I booked the Airbnb, especially after I read that checkout time, I was regretting the entire thing. Instant buyer's remorse. And so now I'm extra stressed, and I realize I have no fucking time, because, you know, I gotta leave at 10 a.m. I get there by 10 p.m. Gotta leave at 10 a.m. I literally just paid a couple of $100 to sleep, which I hardly did. I didn't sleep very much that night. I ended up making myself some Korean chicken, frozen Korean chicken that I got from Safeway, and I hardly touched any of it. I also like got myself rice, and I actually cooked that on the oven, so at least I didn't like half-ass. I didn't get like Instacook rice. I actually, you know, got the grains and cooked it myself. But yeah, so I wasted most of that food because I couldn't stand eating, but I needed to take my meds, and I needed to make sure I was properly nourished. And I'm hating every moment and regretting every moment the entire time, and hardly sleep. And I was able to actually, fortunately, so you can't really get taxis or Ubers in the evening, but you can find a dial-a-ride thing for morning to afternoon, you know. And so I was able to get one just a little bit after my checkout time, and the Airbnb host was wonderful, kind. It was like, yeah, no, you can stay in your room until then. You can stay until, like, I told my cleaner not to come until like 10:30 a.m. And I'm like, oh, I should be gone by then, but that's so kind, thank you. But yeah, so I got picked up to my next motel, and, you know, most motels check in, most hotels, motels, inns, everything's check-ins are like 2 p.m., 3 p.m. So I'm now sitting in the lobby for a couple of hours, and I even like told Cappy, like, hey, if you want to start video chatting now, that would be awesome, you know. And he's like, no, I'll just wait until you're in your room. And I'm like, it's going to be hours. But they actually let me in early. I believe they let me in at like 12 p.m., maybe 1 p.m. And yeah, immediately got lewd. But yeah, so then I got like an hour, half, 2 hours tops with Cappy over video. So I paid like $400, over 400, nearly $500 just for an hour, 2 hours with Cappy. Regretting all my life's decisions, right? And I can't blame really anyone else except for myself. I never should have done it. I never should have booked anywhere, and if I did, I should have booked for 2 days, because that would have been so much cheaper if I had booked 2 days in advance, or 2 days and I did it in advance in one place, so I didn't have to like hop and, you know, have that chunk of time I couldn't do shit. So yeah, sucks to suck. Sucks to be a dumbass. Lesson to be learned. I'm an idiot. I am impulsive sometimes. I wouldn't say I'm super impulsive. I'm not nearly as impulsive as Cappy, I'll say that much. But I can be. And that was an example of it. we've covered I'm a dumbass. I almost broke up with Capybara. I don't know how much I've talked about the whole monogamy thing, but he's like going on dates and not telling me and acting all high and mighty when he does. Like, you should be grateful I even fucking tell you because you were a hypocrite and you had and blah 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 blah. I might read you guys a lot of, it's gonna be fucking forever because I wrote a lot of long things. But I definitely will read you the ultimatum I ended up writing. But that night, it started with him being, like I said, I started with like, I don't feel like we were cut out to be non-monogamous, you and I. And he's like, I don't think we were meant to be monogamous. And I'm like, But, and he's saying, oh, I feel so free, and I feel liberated, this is the most free I felt, being able to go out and date, and then she, like, played the field and stuff, and I'm not putting words in his mouth here. I could read you the text and show that's, like, what he's saying. Like, he, one point, when I asked him, like, do these girls even know about me? And he's like, well, I've told them I'm playing the field. And I'm like, that's not the same as non-exclusivity does not equal non-monogamy or vice versa. Like, they're not synonyms. You can have both, don't get me wrong, but one does not equal the other, you know? There's a difference between playing the field and thinking this guy's monogamous and that, you know, he's testing the waters and seeing who he gets along with, and then he's going to pick you at the end, versus this guy has a partner already, a committed long-term partner who he's not going to leave for you, and, you know, you guys are getting along and you want to move forward, and do you know how many people would refuse to date someone who's polyamorous, or at the very least in a polyamorous relationship? There are so many people, like, it feels like you're wasting their time by not being honest about that. And then there's also, like, I can't tell if he's wanting to date for real or if he's just doing it for an ego boost, and it drives me nuts if it is just for the ego boost, because it's like, okay, you've been on half a dozen dates, you think that would have been enough for your ego boost? Is your ego really that? Is your self-esteem really that low? That half a dozen successful dates, even attempted intimacy, apparently. I'm not sure what the fuck that means. If he tried kissing them, tried making out with them, they went to a hotel room, tried fucking, I don't know what the fuck that means. Like, he said he tried, and I'm not sure if that meant like he went in the mindset of having sex, or like they talked about it and then he chickened out, or like he couldn't get it up. I don't know. But yeah, and he felt disgusting, and it felt like another like slut-shaming moment for me, that he was like using that against me as spite, you know, almost. And like there's that part of my brain that wants to believe that he could have potentially done it, but if it wasn't for the fact that he was so upset with me that, you know, like, he couldn't do it because he was upset with me and he felt like a hypocrite. I don't know. And it's like there's a big difference between AFABs and AMABs being able to get sexually active when they're not actually into it. It's a lot easier for an AFAB. I'm not saying that AMABs can't be raped, that AMABs can't have erections. I'm gonna get so fucking, I mean, not that I'm making any money, so of course I don't want to worry about demonetization, but like, I'm not saying, you know, arousal equals consent. Not at all. But it is a lot harder to get it up if you're really, really not into it, you know? Whilst it is not quite the same for AFAB, the hole's still there, and it can hurt, but it's still there. And it's not like I didn't enjoy it. I was not enjoying a single moment of even being around said person, or I was doing what I thought everyone wanted me to do. And I know that sounds like such a cop-out. Literally, though, being shipped by Cappy, or not being shipped, but being pushed by Cappy, like, literally, like, show you text of him saying, go fuck her. Like, and then being shipped by my ex Kitty, and then feeling obligated because this person's very much into me, and I'm thinking, okay, people want me to get into the dating field, so maybe try. And if anyone's a victim here, it's the person that I got intimate with. No one else I can see as a victim here. Like, I only feel like a victim now because of how I've been treated about this situation, because I've had a lot of time to self-reflect. I've looked over everything. I looked over the agreement, and I will read that to you too. this thing that Cappy keeps saying, you're mincing your words, you don't remember what you're saying. And I'm like, bro, I have literally written word for word what I said to you, and almost nowhere in there was me telling you what to fucking do, because he keeps claiming that, and he keeps holding this card above my head that I kept it secret, the intimacy, that I was calling her my snuggle buddy when we were fucking. And I'm like, you have no proof of that. That's just something you told yourself. I didn't call her that after the intimacy happened. Like, bro. And then also, like, it was less than a week, blah 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 blah. I actually made a timeline. I drew out a timeline of events, and how I also, like, told him immediately after each thing happened. The only thing I didn't immediately tell him was the sex, but it's like I felt like that was more appropriate to say, you know, video, voice. But shame on me, I've learned my lesson now from both that and from me reading my agreement out loud, is that, you know, now he's gonna be like, hearsay, instead of me having text proof, having physical proof of what was and wasn't said. So, lesson learned, Ultimatum's gonna be sent to him, not read, it's gonna be sent to him if he wants to play this bullshit of questioning my memory. I had to deal with that from Nerd, and I am so fucking done with people trying to use my memory against me. Now I have it in written form. Thank you. So yeah, if anyone's a victim here, it should be the person I got intimate with, because I practically led them on. I knew I wasn't interested in them. I knew I wasn't enjoying time with them. I knew I wasn't doing this out of my own interest or desire. There's literally journal entries of me saying that. I actually was even telling them about how, like, I'm scared of hurting you. I'm not feeling much. I'm scared of hurting Cappy. You know, I constantly was keeping them in the loop. That doesn't make it okay that I did. But yeah, so I never technically was intentionally, like, keeping it secret. I was just waiting for the right time to tell Cappy. But he's acting like I did some clandestine bullshit. That's actually something he said. And so I actually cut that in my ultimatum, that he's doing clandestine shit. You want to talk about being sneaky. You are not being honest with these girls that you're being non-monogamous, and you're not being honest with me that you're going on dates. I'm not even aware that he is or isn't dating, and I guess he is dating. I don't know. Maybe he stopped after our argument where I almost broke up with him. Oh, and that's the thing. When I almost broke up with him, so before that point, I had said, like, hey, if it came down to it, do you think you'd get intimate with them? And he's like, that's not any of your business. And I'm like, my immediate response, because I was just so fucking done, was, fuck you. It's plain simple, fuck you. Because, like, another thing was, like, what led to that conversation was just, like, why, because he kept on telling me, even before, like, outside the intimacy, even, like, going on the dates, he said he felt so uncomfortable, it didn't feel right, he couldn't even stand touching, etc., etc., and then also would use it, but, like, I can't understand how you could do it. And I'm just like, do you not remember how I grew up in kind of an abusive situation where I literally had to hug and snuggle my abuser? Do you not remember me recalling all the times I realized I'm asexual and I accidentally focus on the trees? But, I'd rather look at the trees. Forget my face. All the times I was, saying how I realized I pushed through sex, that I actually wasn't interested, and that I just, X, Y, or Z. But yeah, so I asked him, like, why were you doing the dates if, they make you uncomfortable? And he was like, oh, I feel liberated, I feel free, and it's nice to feel wanted. I'm like, do I not make you feel wanted? Do all those thirsty fangirls over your voice not make you feel wanted? Does half a dozen dates not make you feel wanted? But yeah, so I was like, well, why are you pushing through if you're uncomfortable? And he's like, well, I'm, why do you keep doing it if you're uncomfortable? It's like, well, I'm pushing through, getting my ego boost, adapting my social skills. I'm like, you don't need to go on dates, romantic dates, to work on your social skills. Meet up with friends, meet new friends, but you don't need to go on romantic dates. Or, like, people from even dating apps. Like, if you go on people with dating apps, like, you can still meet up as friends. Like, I met 2 people on dating apps and had friendly, like, little meetups. I called them dates, but they were, like, strictly just friendly. We hardly even hugged. We hugged, like, hi and goodbye, but that's it. We didn't hold hands. We didn't snuggle. I'm still friends with one of them. The other one kind of ghosted me. They're still on my gaming server, and they sometimes leave reactions, but they have not messaged me back once. So I'm like, okay, I guess. But the other person I'm still cool with. We're local. I mean, that was the point, is finding local friends for me. And so I'm still friends with that person. We met up twice. We snuggled the second time. They slept over at my place kind of thing, but like nothing intimate. And I realized what I want is definitely just friendship. I don't want romance or sex. I have now realized, no, like I've confirmed the demisexual part, and I have now realized I probably am demi-romantic. I do not want any new partners, whether or not Cappy and I stay together. I don't want, nor do I feel that it's worth the effort to get involved with anyone else romantically or sexually, that I don't feel like I could have that bond or connection with anyone else. But yeah, so yeah, but I don't feel like you need to go on romantic dates to work on your social skills and get out of your comfort zone, especially if you're in a relationship. You know, me being with him for 3 years through all of his spirals and hard times and all that jazz, that's not enough to make someone feel wanted, right? Just make someone feel like they're desirable, right? All the times I've paid to come across the world to see him. But yeah, so I had my immediate like fuck you response to him being like, oh, it's none of your business if I get intimate. I'm like, bro, I explained to him the next day after we kind of made up. I was like, just so you understand why I said fuck you, it's because every single one of your sexual partners deserves to know if you have other sexual partners for their own goddamn safety. If you were having sex with someone else and then you and I got to meet up in person again and wanted to have sex, you're getting your ass tested. For my own safety. And then also something that's important for me to know is if there's going to be the risk of pregnancy, because he should only date cis women. I think I've already said this, but I do not want him dating anyone. I don't get a say in that, but any other trans person would have dumped his ass by now. So I don't want him to potentially hurt someone else, and I don't want him to get overwhelmed by the trans stuff, air quotes. But yeah, so, but that being said, like, the risk of pregnancy is kind of something I'd like to know if that's in his life. You know? I have no problem co-parenting with someone else's kids, you know? Because I do want to be a parent. I know he knows right now he's not wanting that, and maybe he'll never want that. So I want to be a parent one day, but I can also acknowledge that maybe that's not going to happen, etc. But yeah, so yeah, but mostly that STD concern, and also it's the bare fucking minimum for your romantic or sexual partner, even if they're just a one-night stand or whatever, to know if you have been sexually active with other people recently. Like, that is the bare fucking minimum. Me knowing that he's even dating is the bare fucking minimum. And he acts like it's just this high and mighty, like, self-righteousness of like, well, you don't get to know because you were being sneaky. Like, I didn't tell you a very specific detail of a progression of relationship in less than a week, and that makes me sneaky. That makes me fit this narrative you have of me keeping it secret and using a term that I didn't use after this event happened, that you don't even know exactly when it happened. You're just adding your own thoughts and narratives here. I never confirmed nor denied any of those accusations, and when it first happened, I am a pushover. I am a people pleaser. I am an abuse victim of emotional abuse. I very easily cave and can be very easily guilted. So when he got really upset, and I just kind of took that upset and took it to heart and felt, gods, I'm awful. I deserve to die and lose him. That's another thing. I don't took on the non-monogamy mantle as like a sort of like suicide scapegoat, because it's like, oh, he's going to find someone to replace me and then I can go peacefully kill myself because no one else can care about me. Yay! But yeah, which I confessed to him that night when I almost broke up with him. But yeah, it was just like, I realized I didn't technically do anything wrong. Like, maybe I should have told him a day earlier or so, because that's when he came back. But it's like, I didn't want to overwhelm him with too much stuff. I should have told him when I told him about my comforts and agreements and about how I wanted to tell him things. But like, object permanence is a thing, not just with objects, but with people and important information. Life as a neurodivergent ADHD person is awesome. Ding. But yeah, so I fucked up. Not really. When I don't remember exactly what I said, and this was in response to, but I remember saying, and this is when I almost broke things off, and I was like, fine, you want to do this, I'm gone, I can't do this. Like, or not in that exact order. And I could always find the text and put it up here if need be. But yeah, I was just like, and he's like, well, if that's what you want to do, but you know, remember that you're in a stressful emotional place of mind and blah blah blah. And it just kind of like hurt that he didn't say like, I don't want you to go or anything like that. And I get like he was doing that because he didn't like want to make me stay against my will or whatever, but it's still like that he didn't try finding a compromise, that he didn't, you know, it hurt that part didn't happen. But he at least was trying to be like, hey, think about that before you just make a major decision, which also feels very redirecting. Like, it feels very invalidating of my emotions, that like he's just like, oh, you're just emotional right now because of everything else, you don't mean what you're saying. But yeah, so, and like this is a thing that I had been thinking on for a while now. And my one camel's back breaking of the relationship was if you refuse to come visit because of the whole thing about the other person. But now that's off the table. Now I have one camel breaking back, and that will be in the ultimatum, which I will read to you guys. This is probably going to be like an hour or so video. Sorry. Not sorry. I don't know. What do you want from me? We end up talking again because I'm like, I can't just easily walk away from you. Like, I always fucking love you, but this is just a lot right now. And at one point, after we've kind of like duked it out, and we're, you know, kind of making up, and he's like, we can brag about our communication skills, we're great at communicating. And I'm like, bro, like an hour or two before you said that, you literally were refusing to communicate. So I immediately was like, yes and no. My response was yes and no. And then the next day, when he also clarified the fuck you to not telling me about your sex life, I added to not telling me about your sex life. That sounds not quite right. Just basically telling me as a sexual partner you have other sexual partners. That's the best I could do for that. But like simplified, you know, not telling me about your sex life. But yeah, so when I clarified that too about like, communication. Yeah, so I told him like, you literally were like, we can brag about communication skills an hour or two before you refused to communicate. So no, I don't quite agree with that mentality, because you were literally refusing to communicate and refusing to listen to me. Because he's like, we're always going to butt heads about this. And I'm like, bro, because you won't listen to evidence or reason. Like every time I try providing evidence or ask him, like, tell me, what did I do that was hypocritical? He's all like, he redirects the conversation. Or he'd be like, when I asked him like, what I do is hypocritical, he's like, I don't want to throw too much at you right now. You've already got enough thrown at you right now. I'm just like, duke it out. Come on, full disclosure. Let's go. Come on, buddy. But like, I didn't do anything hypocritical. I know that now. I felt like I did because he made me feel like I did, but I know I didn't now. Looked at the fucking agreement, looked at the entire situation. I didn't. And he can go suck a dick. No, he shouldn't. He shouldn't suck any dicks. I don't want to give him the ultimatum before I leave camp, especially like on the off chance that he does pick break or break up, you know, or even tries being like, well, you're in an emotional place right now. Shouldn't make big decisions. I genuinely don't want our relationship to end, and right now at least I don't feel comfortable with non-monogamy, but I'm willing to let him have it. But he has to now follow some actual goddamn rules. I'm sitting down. He was like acting like I was controlling, acting like I was telling him what to do, had rules and telling what he can or can't not do. Well, now he's in for it. Now he's actually into me having non-negotiables. My original agreement was mostly what I wanted to do, like what I wanted to be like, hey, I want to tell you about my partners. I want to talk to my partners about you. I want you to be friends with my partners, or I want my partners to be friends with you. And if they don't like you, they're gone. Or potential partners, not even like if they had started getting, because he was getting along with the intimate person. Like he even was like, hey, you know, you offered a group chat, I think I'd like to try that, and was saying that we vibed, and the, you know, she was even present during like a time we all like were gaming with our friends. It was just like, in what part of any of this was like keeping things secret? So I am willing to let him have non-monogamy, but I really would highly prefer that he dates a non-monogamous person, polyamorous person, so that way, like, especially if she has other partners, it doesn't take too much time from what time I have with him. And I'm not going to take on any of the partners. The only exception for taking on new partners would be if it was his partner. We're being a closed dynamic, poly-fidelity, poly-exclusivity, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, there's an example of polyamory not being synonymous with non-exclusivity. Polyexclusivity. It's in the title. You are exclusive with only those people in your polycule. But yeah. And I also had realized he had crossed some boundaries I had stated. Things I didn't consent to. I had said I really don't want solo polyamory, and I really don't want don't ask, don't tell. I don't think that specific phrase was in my original thing, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's doing solo polyamory and don't ask, don't tell. And those were two things I didn't consent to. In my agreements, I had even said, like, if we can't have poly exclusivity, then I want kitchen table poly. And I really am not feeling I'm ready for solo polyamory. The least happy I've ever been is in solo polyamory. I felt most happy in a polyamorous relationship when it was closed, when it was exclusive. And so that's kind of the mentality I feel about a polyamorous dynamic. If I can't have that, I don't want to be in a polyamorous dynamic. Like, that's just not the way I personally can do relationships. I realize that about myself now, especially embracing the fact that I'm borderline. But yeah, so I'm not saying everyone who's borderline can't do that and vice versa. I'm just saying, like, my form of it, the way it has manifested in me. That's just what we should say for mental illness. It's just my mental illness has manifested, and it just sounds like you're just like a witch that has had their powers sparked up. You know, we'll make it that. But yeah, so literally has broken my consent. You know, or more or less. And then I also point out two things he fucked up. Something I don't know if I mentioned is I might have. But when I did tell him that intimacy happened, he almost asked jokingly, like, oh, did you put your thing in her thing? And I should have told him, hey, bro, we agreed not to ask those kind of details, to not share those kind of details, right? I should have, but I panicked, as I always do. And I always am too honest for my own good. So I shake my head no. And suddenly gets more serious and is like, did she put her thing in your thing? And like, what is this, a one penis policy? Why is that what, like, that was what looked like in the scene as a trigger, but I think it was more of just like him slowly realizing. I don't know. Like, it felt like, I don't know if it was a slow realization or just suddenly he got upset that someone else penetrated me. But it was okay if I penetrated someone else. But yeah, so he broke that agreement. We agreed that we wouldn't ask that for the privacy of our own partners. Like, that just is a given in general in life. Like, and then the other thing we broke was we agreed that if any of us were like feeling jealous or insecure or whatnot, we would tell the other person, and the person should assure us and be like, don't worry, I still love you, even if I'm going on dates with someone else, it's okay. And when I told him I was feeling insecure and I was just feeling really depressed in that moment in general, he was like, okay, I'm going to break off my date. I'm going to call off my date. I was like, no, please don't. And he's like, done already, unmatched her, she's gone. And it's like, no, bro, the fuck. And I tried really, really hard to find her again. But yeah, so he broke the two things we actually mutually agreed to. Like, there's only two things we actually mutually agreed to, because he didn't like say an agreement to my thing. And my thing, well, you know, me telling him what to do, I did say, hey, it'd be nice if you reciprocate what I'm doing, but, you know, I'm not going to ask it. I said it'd be nice for reciprocation, never demanded it, you know, never demanded a thing from him in regards to that. Maybe begged, but like said he could or couldn't do things. You could look and it's not there. He also said I was trying to guilt him with the original agreement. I was like, the only guilting I did was calling you out for canceling a date that I told you not to cancel. That went against what we agreed to. That's like the only place I could find guilting. And I guess maybe like the idea that maybe we should take a step back and think about like maybe not doing this, because I realized I had fucked up at that point. And then also like in general, I come to me like, this seems like a bad idea with my friend. I was just like, I feel like there's rebounding for both of us, that we're trying to fill the hole that the other person left. I almost broke up with him, we kind of made up, but now I have written up the ultimatum, which I will read, and I will try to remember to read my agreements. But basically, the ultimatum, it's, monogamy, non-monogamy, breaking up, taking a break, and more kind of detailed versions of other things. There's even an option where it's like, you're doing these, you can keep doing the dates, but there's simply ego boost, no second dates, no sex, etc. Yeah, it's like, you want to tell me I'm telling you what to do, you want to act like I'm making demands or trying to guilt you, or guess what, you shady ass motherfucker. I find what he's doing shady. Like, I can sympathize and empathize with how he feels hurt with a narrative in his mind. Should it be true, I could fully understand why he feels the way he does and why he feels entitled to be acting the way he does not justify what he's doing. Like, especially with the other girls, like the dishonesty he's having with them, I don't find that okay. I find that very dishonest and shady. And just like I said, so many people would date someone who's not someone who is polyamorous, let alone someone polyamorous of a partner. There's so many people who would not engage with that. And it's just like, I guess it makes it easier to get dates, right? To have cis-het monogamous passing, cis passing, heterosexual passing, and monogamous passing. Good for you. I can't hide half of that shit. I mean, I could hide the polyamory if I really wanted to, but I'm not going to, because that's fucked up. For a number of reasons. You're hiding your partner, and you're hiding a very important fact about yourself, and you're hiding a very important fact about yourself that your potential partners deserve to know before engaging with you. So one of my things is, like, you either tell these girls before you go on a date with them, or you put it in your profile. And if I really wanted to, and if, like, I could just find his profiles and report every single one of them. Just spam report them. Just make a bunch of accounts and spam report his profiles and report. Just to be spiteful. But yeah, no. And I don't think I ever really talked about, for the most part, about, like, one of the things that made me feel really insecure. And it was more of just, like, it was something that I felt was, like, our thing that ended up happening with him and the person he canceled the date on. And it was having voice memos, or sending voice memos. It felt too soon to me. Like, it made me really nervous. Because it was just like, I thought that was our thing. And it was hitting me hard and fast how quickly that happened, and I realized I was being irrational and unfair, and that's why I didn't want him to cancel the date. I just thought I could trust him by being honest. Then I make that mistake a lot, don't I? The 3rd of August is our 3rd anniversary. I hope we can still make it to 4. Like I said, I don't really want non-monogamy, but I am willing to offer it if that's the only way he feels like he can be okay. If that's the only way he feels like he can stay with me. But I warned in the ultimatum, I warned him when we first started it, if it becomes too much and you don't want to pick between monogamy with me and polyamory, I'll make the decision for you and you can go be polyamorous. Or, knowing him, he's probably going to be monogamous. He is not a polyamorous person, I feel. He is enjoying the benefits of being a single monogamous person right now without actually being single monogamous. He's reaping the benefits of having me in his life while living a single lifestyle. That's truly how it feels. And he said himself last week or a couple weeks ago about how he feels like he's taking advantage of me, using me, whatever. And I was like, yeah. I didn't deny it, actually. I was like, sometimes, is what I said in response to that one. I'm going to cut now to me reading things. Like I said, this is going to be over an hour now. But yeah, so I'll cut to me reading those things. And then, yeah. If anyone wants to get feedback, I don't know. Up to you.
You might find it rude that I'm sending this in text format rather than voice, but I've learned my lesson with you. If I read it aloud, you're going to make claims that I'm mincing my words or not remembering things properly.
that'll all be hearsay. And whatever you say, there will be no evidence of. We both do the opposite for opposite reasons, as you even once told me prior to our breakup that you didn't want to tell me serious things over text out of worry of me having the evidence of what you said. Now I know I need to have the evidence of it. Not to mention that me waiting to tell you something because I wanted to do it over voice and video got used against me in the recent past. So, to start things off, I am proposing an ultimatum to our current situation, as I hope you're well aware that I'm not only greatly disapproving of it, but also wounded, feeling unfairly blamed and attacked, as well as uncomfortable. Aside for clarifications and additions to the unmentioned, none of these are negotiable. A. We become monogamous. Stop the dating, remove your apps unless you're using it for strictly friends, and tell all of those you've been on dates with that you just want to be friends. B. You can keep dating, but we are not doing an open relationship nor solo polyamory. We are doing kitchen table polyamory, and we sure as hell aren't doing don't ask, don't tell. You have to communicate not only to me, but these girls. You tell all these girls that you have a committed partner already and are non-monogamous either prior to going on a date with any of them or in your profile. You have any idea how many of them would have refused to go on a date with you should they had known you were non-monogamous or at the very least had a partner? Non-exclusivity and non-monogamy are not synonyms. If you've been seeing any of these girls consistently more than once and plan to meet up again, you have to tell them that you aren't just playing the field but non-monogamous with a committed partner. You have to tell me if you got a new person you're seeing, don't have to if it's second date with the same girl, but every time there's a new one pretty much, and you also don't have to say what or when the date is, just that there's someone new you're going to see. And if you get serious with any and actually want to enter a relationship with her as your girlfriend, at that point, I want you to have introduced us when you and her have that time. There's also a difference between just having gotten around to telling me or just didn't feel important to tell me instead of purposely keeping something secret from me and never intending to tell me, at least when it's something important for me to know. If sex starts happening, then I'd like to know for my own safety, but it doesn't have to be immediate, just whenever is appropriate, the same as I did with you. Sex happened with your consent, and I told you that it did, and didn't keep it secret from you, only took a few days to inform you that it did. I want you to follow my example with the lilac situation, as what I did was exactly what I said I'd prefer would happen. When she hit on me, I told you immediately. When she confessed to having romantic dreams about me, I told you immediately. I introduced the two of you as soon as I could and made a group chat, even had the two of you meet via video voice chat. When I went out with her and the girls, I told you immediately and even showed you photos, including one of a kiss. When I went to her place, I told you immediately. When she told me she loved me, I told you immediately. And when she and I got sexually involved, I told you as soon as I could when it felt like an appropriate time. I might have been a day later than I should have, but I still tried to when I remembered to. I told you on my own free will without being prompted to. I didn't intentionally keep it secret, nor did I try to hide it like you've convinced yourself I did. Nor did I call her snuggle buddy after the fact, which you've also seemed to convince yourself. That term disappeared once things stopped being what they were. And I won't do what you did to me and ask invasive questions as to how the sex went and what details went down. You didn't have the right to ask that, and neither do I, nor have I. The closest I got was asking if you thought of me when you jerked off to censor. Not unless it's a kinky thing where we're all consented to share sex details together because we're mutually getting off on it. You don't have to do everything I did with Lilac situation, but the bare minimum of it where I kept you in the loop practically every step of the way. I did way more of communicating about Lilac than you ever did with Censor, who you kept the existence secret of for 3 weeks and her identity secret for 2 years. And I most certainly did way more than you childishly are doing with those girls you're potentially leading on. If I realize I can't take the non-monogamy, if it becomes too much for me, then you can pick either option A or D or E if I want to end option B. If your girlfriend is interested in dating me, I'll see where that goes.
You don't have to tell me if you're gaming with friends or on a date or whatever it is you're doing. You can just say you're busy. It's on you for thinking you have to give me detailed answers. But you must tell me if you're seeing someone new, that you're getting serious with someone, and that you're sexually active with someone other than me. Doesn't have to be immediate, but you need to tell me when it feels appropriate. C. Similar to B, but you don't date any of these girls, for real. No second dates, no sex, just one date to get the ego boost you so desperately desire, and that's it. I'd say no kissing since I almost never kiss on the first date, but that's a me thing, and I know everyone is different. Most people I know and hang around with actually have sex on the first date, which I also could never do, so to each their own. You have no real intention to be with any of these women. You are simply wanting to feel better about yourself and keep yourself from getting carried away and hurting these girls. Nobody's gonna get too butthurt if the person they've only been on one date with ends up showing no interest in them afterward. That's what playing the field is about in dating apps. Though I despise this option, finding it shady as hell, dishonest, and leading them on as you waste their time, I also think that the 1 or 2, now half a dozen, successful dates you already had would have been more than enough for your ego boost, or even the fact that if it's to work on your social skills, that it didn't have to be romantic dates, and I would have thought your interactions on VA service would have helped. But I'm offering it to you. All the same, you have to communicate with me like in B. D. We break up. You want to act like a single man playing the field, being a shady-ass person by being dishonest to everyone around you, rather than a non-monogamous person or a person wanting a true connection with someone new, then you can be a single person and don't have to worry about being shady or dishonest. Those girls have the right to know you're in a committed relationship before you waste their time for your stupid ego boost. And if you want to break the only 2 boundaries I said I actually had, so polyamory and don't ask, don't tell, and continue to do so even after I've called you out, if you're going to disrespect me and play your childish mind games on me in a way you know hurts me the most, then you can be without me. E. You and I take a break as partners. You can go play the field as a single man, and if you're done dating around and don't want to settle for any of them, if you decide you want to ask me to be monogamous with you again, if you want to ask me about polyfidelity, or you get a polyamorous partner and you want to ask if I want to be your partner and potentially hers again, we'll see how I feel, and the break can either end or we say our goodbyes forever. Just know that I don't owe you being your comment, and I can't wait for you forever. F. This can be seen similar or same to B. Start from scratch on the polyamory thing and work out an actual agreement together for our boundaries and comforts before jumping in. If you don't believe me about not taking on any partners on my end, you can say what you prefer I should do, though I'm adamant on it being a stupid idea for me to do unless she's your girlfriend. However, these are non-negotiable. I'm not taking on any new partners, sexually or romantically, unless we enter a close triad. No solo polyamory, no don't ask, don't tell, and no open relationship. My metamor has to know me. We have to be in each other's life as though we are friends or family if we're not a close triad. You keep me in the loop when you get a partner you're exclusive with, and or if you start getting sexually intimate with people you aren't. If you think this is controlling, honestly, I'm asking almost for the bare minimum. And unlike my original comforts and wants list, I'm actually demanding it rather than saying, it'd be nice. So there, you finally have me telling you what to do for real. This isn't a request, but I'd honestly only really feel comfortable if you're dating other polyamorous girls, since I will be monogamous on my end, and if she has other partners, it doesn't really take away too much of what little time I have with you. Honestly, it's probably even better if you take a break from dating until you're less of a mess who's depressed or angry all the time. The fear that you might latch to someone for comfort, sort of like I did, or potentially hurt someone out of anger is something that weighs on my mind. Especially since you're so depressed, you need to go on half a dozen successful dates and still not say that is enough for an ego boost, because you're clearly still struggling with feeling good about yourself if you need more for that purpose. Though I find it odd that someone who needs an ego boost can be as egotistical as you are. But I will not make you stop or say you have to wait. Just reflect. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, really think about why you were doing what you're doing for once and the consequences of them to everyone around you that's involved in one way or another? If we don't break up, whether we do polyamory or monogamy, and I find out you're still doing whatever you've been doing, we're over. It's done. I consider that cheating and I don't want anything to do with you anymore. There's no debating on this. It feels pretty black and white to me. I find what you're doing shady as shit and I won't stand around to be an enabler for it. Just so you know, if we do break up, I'm gone forever. Not even friends and no more being co-workers aside unfinished projects or those done by others. You choose to take a break as partners, we do not talk until you want to rekindle a romantic relationship with me. Do not talk to me unless you want to ask to be my partner. Treat this as the same as if we broke up for real. Until you're ready to start again with me like we're a comet. I don't want to be your friend or know about your dating around like some player during this time. All or nothing. If we break up, I do not want to be in your life after all this is said and done, after all your gaslighting, hypocrisy, poor communication, constant dishonesty to those around you, and delusions. If you do not want to work on it and face it, you refuse to even listen to my case and see the evidence I have to provide, to tell me what's actually made me a hypocrite about the situation, and every time I try to offer the first and ask for the second, you reject the conversation. You're far more comfortable in your bubble wrap of cognitive dissonance, avoiding thinking about the situation, especially in a productive way, so much that you're stuck in your falsely constructed narrative that you made up by twisting things I told you. I've done the opposite. Perhaps I fixated way too much, but if I had not, if I didn't do all the self-reflecting I had, looking over our messages and my list of comforts over and over again, I would have never realized that I didn't deserve to be punished, or at least not by you. I wouldn't have found all the messages and proof that I did showing how you gaslit me and made me hate myself for something that pretty much didn't happen, at least not how you think it did. If you don't want to take my word for it, but would finally like to stop being stubborn and ask me to prove to you what you've been gaslighting yourself, I have photo proof, text evidence, the written form of exactly what I've said, even drawn and written out a timeline, and more, to prove that your narrative is wrong and what you believed happened is not true. I truly believe you're not intending to hurt me, spite aside, that you truly believe you're a victim and that I did something hypocritical because you've gaslit yourself and adamantly shut out everything so you can believe what you believe. I understand why you feel how you feel with the version of the story you have in your head, and why you feel justified in what you're doing, although even if what you believe to have happened did happen, still doesn't justify it. It's still shady, egotistical, dishonest, and childish as fuck. But I sympathize and understand with where you're coming from, if it were true. I will never, ever stop loving you. I will forever miss you if and when things are said and done, because I truly want to be with you forever. That's also why I have to let you go together, because I will always forgive you, I will always pander to you, and I'll always let you make me to the villain, even in times when I'm not. I don't think I can keep myself from pining to you to your face, from flirting with you and saying romantic things, so I have to set up boundaries to protect myself, protect you as well from me. But I don't want you to choose to end things because you think it would be better for me. Phrases and mentalities like that irritate the living hell out of me. As you probably remember how much that upset me Valentine's weekend and when the girls first told me they wanted me to move out. I still believe in you, else I would have left. If you want to end things, do it for you. Do it because you can't take this. Because you don't want me, because you want the freedom you can have with me in your life, especially for monogamy. You said to me yourself that you feel like you're taking advantage of me. Sometimes, especially through all of this, I do feel used and taken advantage of. It feels like you want all the benefits of being single and dating like you are single, while still having me as a crutch and safety net. Knowing that if things don't go well, I'll be there at the end of the day to comfort you and love you. You're using me more than you're using those girls. But as you've also said before, it's thanks to me that you were ever able to feel this confident, this self-assured and good about yourself that you could finally date. What happens to all that if I leave you because I can't take this anymore? You think you can still handle the solo dating, knowing that after the date is done, unless you want to commit to someone new that you have to build up trust and structure with, you're now alone. You think you can still feel like you deserve to be loved by someone, that you can be a good partner, that you won't damage a new one. The very person who restored hope in you, has stayed by your side during your hardest moments in your life, has seen every part of you and still embraced and loved it all, can now no longer bear to be in your life anymore, because through it they realized how much you've used them and crossed the boundaries of, and finally said enough is enough due to this one scenario that you've been so stubbornly adamant about out of unwarranted spite. Could you continue the dating lifestyle you've chosen if it was the one reason I left you? This isn't me trying to manipulate you to stay, just a way to really empathize how I feel used and taken advantage of in ways you're probably not even self-aware of. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not that important and you don't need me. At the very least, not anymore. And that's fine. If you don't need me, if you're healed and can stand on your own to pursue love again, then I can leave so you can do that freely instead of standing around as you string me and those other girls along. Who am I to get in your way of you meeting the person better for you? And it's odd how you're the one fighting for what you believe is polyamory, when you've said to me so many times in the past how you don't understand it, how it made no sense to you that it could work, how you don't believe you can fully be a partner, fully love a partner if you have another. Then again, I say you're fighting for polyamory, what doesn't actually feel like polyamory is what you really want. You want to be single. But you also want the benefits of me being in your life as your romantic partner. And another odd thing is your mother is against it and finds it revolting that it was the one thing that made her do a 180 with me, from saying I deserved better than you to saying you deserved better than me. Were you planning on keeping your new partner a dirty little secret? Or perhaps you just tell everyone you and I broke up so you could introduce the new girl? You never think these things through, and never worked out with me what we do when we visit each other and one of us had a partner. This is the one boundary I'm setting that breaks the camel's back. I can handle the fights, the outbursts and spirals, your mental health struggles, the overwhelm you feel from LGBT plus topics, being told I'm too much or talking too much, being told I'm not the only one you want, being told in the past that you do not want to be my domestic or local partner, your mother's disapproval. But I will not stand around while you play the role of a monogamous single guy, all whilst reaping the benefits of having a partner who you'd so often hid from the world, trying to have your cake and eat it too. Nor will I ever find your behavior justifiable or your excuse to refuse to share the bare minimum. Not when you've been the biggest hypocrite here and absolutely refuse to see it. Not when you're being dishonest to so many around you and refusing to communicate over such important things that are literally the bare minimum. And not whilst you're doing it out of spite that you have no right to feel. I hardly ever say this, even when you've been angry with me, but your feelings are not valid in the scenario. You've deluded yourself. You thought I was being controlling before simply because I told you what I want to do and thought it'd be nice if you're reciprocated, but didn't ask that you did. And what I was uncomfortable with? Well, now you have real demands in front of you. You previously thought I was telling you what you were and weren't doing was wrong. Well, here's me actually calling you out, and with close to no restraints on your dishonest, clandestine bullshit. I honestly don't want non-monogamy or polyamory, and I don't want to break up. At least not for real. But I can't force you. And as I've said, the polyamory gets too much for me and you still want it, I'll end things for my own well-being. I will leave you, but it's because I know what's best for me, and that's not your call to make as to what's best for me. There's no way you know what's best for me better than me, and the fact that I am willing to step away under the right conditions shows that I'm well aware. I'm truly scared though, because I don't want this to be the end. But I need to stop letting myself get walked over all the time, being easily guilted into believing I'm at fault, to stop pandering to people out of fear of losing or disappointing them. I need to be honest about being uncomfortable or unhappy, and I want to trust you that I can be honest about that. But I'm scared of you picking any other option than A. Most of all, scared you'll pick D or E. The choice is yours, and obviously not something you should immediately act upon and should take time to think about, unless you're 100% sure right now what you want based on the options I've given. But as a reminder, I cannot wait for you forever. Make up your mind before I leave you, and if I do, know that it's this one thing and this one thing only. My comforts and wants. I want table polyamory if I can't have polyfidelity, exclusive polycules where everyone is dating each other. I do not want secrets kept about who we are dating, and I do not want to have a partner who doesn't like being around their metamor, especially speaking from experience, or of being in a polycule where I couldn't stand my metamor and thus hid away, knowing that hurt our partner to see. By this, I mean that I will introduce potential partners to you when it feels that we are getting along and would like to make plans to go on a date, because it is important to me that my partners get along, even if they do not have romantic or sexual interest in each other and are simply metamors. Again, I highly prefer my partners also want to date each other, but I want to be realistic. I will do my best to talk about you to new potential partners as a reminder to them that they are getting into non-monogamy and that you are incredibly important to me. And like it or not, I talk about you a lot, so best to get out of the way sooner than later. I do not think I'll be willing to date anyone who does not like being around you. I prefer if you would do the same or at least similar, but I do ask for sure that you tell me if things are going well with someone, because the people important to you are also important to me. I don't want to be under any illusions or misunderstandings. I'd like to be friends with them if they have no romantic or sexual interest in me, and I'd love to do double dates and or gaming with them, or however you connect with them, if that's within their interest to engage with me in such a way. I know that I only want to take on a partner who would have interest in engaging with you too. Obviously, we'd have our solo time together, but I'd like them to have a bond of some sort with you as you're an incredibly important part of me and my life. In regards to if I ever approach you with thoughts of jealousy or insecurities, I do not want you taking as a sign that you need to stop talking about your relationship or situation and feel the need to pull out, but instead do the opposite of that and engage with it. If you end up cutting things off with that person or that communication of me, that does not give me or us a chance to work through those thoughts and feelings. Instead, can make them worse. I do not want you saying, I will unmatch, cancel on them. And I do not want you saying, sorry, I won't talk about it, or shall I keep it to myself? I want you to talk about it, and I want you to apply yourself, and I want to be able to trust in you and our bond, and to work through what I'm feeling. I tell you because I trust you and want you to know where I'm at, not because I want you to stop what you're doing. Basically, take it as a good sign if I talk to you, rather than a sign that you've done something wrong. As an extra note, I'm open to do table polyamory. I'm really willing to give that a try, but I do not think I am ready for solo polyamory, especially not with where I'm at mentally, and not sure I ever will be. I also think it's important to cover what happens with our partners and dynamic when we visit each other, at least if we're doing solo or kitchen polyamory. Would we like to ask our new partner to comment and give us some space so we can have some alone time given how little our time is together? Would we want to split our time between the two? Would we like to spend time as a trio but have no solo time with other partners whilst each other is around? For example, you and I go on one-on-one dates with each other, and then we sometimes hang out with a new partner, almost as though we're a friend group setting, but we do not go on solo dates with the new partner so we can spend as much time together. I do also have concerns about starting new relationships while we are still going through separation anxiety, heartache of missing each other, and in general depression. It almost feels like a rebound situation to start dating someone new whilst getting over losing each other. It risks the chance of potential new partner feeling a strong attachment to us, but we're not truly able to reciprocate as we act on impulsive depression. It feels as though we're only dating someone new to fill the gaps we left for each other, rather than actually wanting to start a new meaningful relationship with another person. It feels like a justification of a new partner, like they exist as an item, stress relief, or coping mechanism, etc., rather than a human. So if we'd like to wait another month or so, that might be a better option for us rather than jumping in as soon and so fast. On top of not wanting to hurt each other, I do not want to hurt a new person. Personally, come the month marker of us first deciding to test the waters of non-monogamy, April 24th, I will delete some, if not all, my dating apps for now. At least, I will delete Tinder and Field, mostly because I can't say that I want to see people in or around Liverpool from my end. Mostly because I can't say that I only want to see people in your area from my end. If I am actively seeking out partners on dating apps, I will only look for ones in or around your area so that it makes it easier for the two of you to also meet up. I do not want to actively take on any local partner to me in the US because it means the potential of abandoning them when I move to the UK or having to be stuck in an LDR with... Because it means the potential of abandoning them when I move to the UK or having to be stuck in a long-distance relationship with them, should they also not want to move or visit. If I happen to meet someone in person I super vibe with here in the States, then that's another thing, though I will warn them of the potential of my departure, but I personally will only actively search for people here on apps. But I personally will not actively search for people here on apps. I also do not really want to take on any solo partners from dating apps, so people who are only interested in me and not you. Again, exceptions might occur if we get along super well, but I don't think even that will change my mind for the most part. I will only be looking for a person who's willing to entertain the possibility of being in a triad, even if it doesn't work out as such. Just them having the willingness to test the waters. Otherwise, if their interest is clearly only in me from the beginning, I will not pursue them, at least not romantically or sexually. We give Polly a bad name. To follow this up, the reason I feel like we weren't meant to be non-monogamous is because you have your jealousy issues too, which you lied about and tell lies in order to cover up. And you fail to communicate, even refuse to, about important things that you need to communicate in a polyamorous relationship. Unless you seriously intend to date any of these girls, although going on dates with them just for an ego boost when you're not intending to date them is dishonest too, there's a huge sense of dishonesty when you tell them you're playing the field as though you're a single man who is casually dating until you find someone serious that you will choose, or even potentially looking for hookups as opposed to finding someone who's perfectly fine with being in a polyamorous dynamic and you having another partner that you're also committed to. It makes it feel like they're being lied to or led on. Maybe you can't see it from my perspective or from theirs, but it's more like you're enjoying being single rather than you are enjoying or even trying polyamory, when that isn't the case. You're not single, and if you want to be, there's an easy way to make that the case. You said you prefer don't ask, don't tell, which is honestly the most dangerous form of non-monogamy because it avoids dealing with your feelings and then instead builds up and fester and adds more problems. Because whether or not you ask, you're going to figure it out eventually. When the partner seems to have a certain routine, communicates less at certain days and hours that they didn't before, you're going to figure it out. And it will get to you that they're not being honest about what's happening. I feel like wanting don't ask, don't tell as a way to avoid getting angry is kind of a sign that you're not ready for non-monogamy and or probably cannot do non-monogamy, especially in the long run. Not just with me, but with anybody. And I fail at it too, or at least when it's with you. I'm still working out my jealousy issues, but at least I've been taking steps to work it out, such as starting conversations about being honest with those feelings and seeing a therapist. But I also failed to be a good mentor and example. The moment we brought up non-monogamy, I should have started the conversation on boundaries then. And at that time we started the first conversation, I knew I was probably not going to be able to handle it, especially not then and still not now. I'm not having ulcer pains like I did 2 years back, but it doesn't mean I'm not struggling in my own way. I agreed to it for 3 reasons. 1, the suicidal motivations I already confessed. 2, though I fucking hated the idea, I thought it'd make you happy, which I guess it is, but it's also really shady how you're going about it. 3, because I hoped that maybe you would test it out. It didn't work out for you, since so you wanted to stay in a monogamous relationship with me. but I don't really think that's what you want. And honestly, I didn't bake in that one too high. A fourth option I'm going to add that I didn't write here is maybe, just maybe, we could have worked out a close triad. But it's on me for agreeing to something I didn't want to do, suggesting in the first place. Literally in tears, I said that you should pursue it. I was setting both of us up for failure unintentionally. I was hoping you'd say that you didn't want to try, but instead you got excited, and that's when the third reason died inside me. And I thought about being optimistic, that maybe we could find a girlfriend for both of us. But then you wanted to do solo polyamory. I started off as saying I didn't want long-distance non-monogamy, that I'd prefer us delving into this if we were domestic or at least local, but I pandered for you. I said I absolutely did not want don't ask, don't tell, and really didn't feel comfortable with solo polyamory, that I highly preferred polyfidelity or at least kitchen table polyamory, but I pandered for you, and you've hardly budged once for me. I've set boundaries and let you obliterate them, and let you guilt me for even setting them up in the first place, and apologize to you for breaking my boundaries. We were never on the same page the entire time. We both failed to communicate, and we both were and are doing polyamory wrong, and that is why you and I aren't fit for non-monogamy together. At the very least, not now. But I truly don't feel like you are a naturally polyamorous person at the end of the day. So many times you told me you couldn't understand or wrap your head around it. You even told me that you couldn't believe that someone could fully love or be invested in a partner if they had more than one. And honestly, after analyzing some of these thoughts in your own words, I was actually able to finally put into concrete thoughts what were some of the major things that bothered me about the censor scenario. It felt hypocritical to me, like you lied, because you kept telling me how you didn't get polyamory, yet you pursued it. And then you told me you could never be with someone sexually, that you weren't with romantic, yet you and Censor were only sexual. It really bothered me that you also kept it incredibly secret for 3 weeks, and then had the gall to get upset with me for not yet sharing a detail about my relationship progress with Lilac for a few days. You couldn't even tell me her name until 2 years later, all whilst I constantly sent you pictures and information and updates about Lilac for those 2 to 3 weeks. Such as her hitting on me, her having romantic dreams about me, us cuddling without shirts on, me kissing her, you two getting to meet and chat, Lilac confessing to fall in love with me. You and Censor also got sexually intimate faster than Lilac and I did. And outside the Censor thing, so many times you lied and kept your jealousy hidden and instead rather ran away or got angry in order to deal with it. You didn't want polyamory, you want the ability to feel desired. And you could only be desirable to a wider audience if you were single. Up until now, and currently at this point in time, non-monogamy, or at least the methods and approaches that have been taken for it with our current dynamic, for us means that either one or both of us is going to be or get hurt because it is there. Me being with someone else hurts you, made you uncomfortable, as you confessed after all was said and done, but also made you dishonest and refuse to communicate those thoughts. On top of you not wanting to tell me things, you choose not to listen and put words in my mouth, never once asking me to prove my case, which I claim I can do, or offering to prove yours, as though I'd shatter your cognitive dissonance, make you feel a loss of validation in your heavy feelings. If you were only being honest with me, communicating with me, not being angry and petty over your own hypocrisy that you've projected upon me, maybe this whole situation would hurt me a hell of a lot less, and I could feel it in me to be supportive, aside from having relief that you're feeling better about yourself just a little. But then you also tell me that it makes you uncomfortable at the same time, and made me feel awful that I had upset you so much to force yourself to do something uncomfortable to spite me. And also how I hate the way you're being dishonest with not only me, but the dates as well. but you also act like me trying to initiate a romantic and sexual relationship with one person who I had been honest with, both her and you, the entire time it's happening, and just hadn't filled you in on one detail immediately, suddenly is a gateway for you to default to your old habits of keeping important things from me and being self-righteous about it. I can't be at all positive about your situation. It feels disgusting on so many levels, and you refuse to see it. Not conveying honesty and not listening is not good communication, so that is why I disagreed with you when you said we could brag about our communication skills. You said that only an hour after refusing to communicate with me. You wouldn't listen to the point I was trying to make. You got defensive over something you didn't even need to be defensive or feel guilty about. And you told me you were going to refuse to talk to me about what you were doing as a polyamorous person. I've looked back at our messages and looked over what I've said to you that allegedly made you feel like I was trying to guilt you dozens of times. And I really struggle to see where you're coming from, where you are saying there's hypocrisy. And you use this as an excuse to be a hypocrite back. And that confuses me even more. But with the whole boundaries and agreements, wants and comfort thing I wrote up that you claim was me trying to guilt trip you, the only thing I can find either that could be seen as me guilting you is calling you out for breaking things off with, etc., whilst I honestly blabbed to you during one of my anxiety spirals about the entire world, not just your situation. And then me calling us both out to reflect on our reasons as to why we're considering non-monogamy or why we wanted to take on new partners. I realized I had gotten to polyamory mostly for the wrong reasons, that I took Lilac as a partner for only wrong reasons. To please you, to please her, to be cool with the polycule again, and partly to either spite or get close to Kitty. So the act made me spiral so fast and so hard right after when I realized what I had done. And the next morning after she and I got sexually intimate, I told her I needed to back the fuck off and go to just being cuddle buddies out of fear of hurting her, you, and Kitty, but also knowing I was doing this to harm myself, even if not fully aware of it at the time. Acted upon a weird sense of obligation to engage with her, knowing she wanted me, knowing you kept pushing me to get a partner, knowing Kitty shipped us. In this whole Lilac situation, the only plausible person I can see as a victim in the situation is Lilac, because even though I was honest with her about my apprehensions the entire time, I still continued and used her to make others happy and tried to make her happy in a way I knew I couldn't be honest about. You like to claim a card you have in your hand is that I was hiding the fact that we fucked and simply called her a cuddle buddy to cover it. But let me tell you, that card doesn't even exist. I called her that up to that point, but once that point happened, I knew that there was nothing left to have with Lilac from that point on. Not sexual and not circles. It had to be over. I had to be honest with myself that I hated the environment she provided. And probably the most hilarious thing about the non-monogamy situation, I told you I wanted kitchen polyamory for there to be communication, and you told me you wanted don't ask, don't tell for there to be no communication, yet we are both doing the thing we want for ourselves to the other. I tell you everything, you try to tell me nothing. I never once lied about Lilac, and I sure as hell was never intending to keep it secret. Pray tell, wouldn't have been an appropriate time to have told you. And you act like it's some sort of testament to my character that I had sexual relations with her only after knowing her for a couple weeks, when a majority of people I know have sex on the first date. I don't even get why the timeline means something to you in the first place, and you claim it doesn't when it clearly does. I asked you for boundaries, you said you had absolutely none, and I gave you every chance to tell me some, and then I accidentally found them when it was convenient for you, so you could do the thing you wanted to, but hide it behind punishing me, saying it was my just desserts for being a hypocrite. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what made me a hypocrite in the Lilac situation, because it's literally what I said I would have been fine with you doing if you reciprocated what I wanted to do in my boundaries, comforts, wants, peace. I am now a dirty little secret again, something I've promised to myself I'd never be. I've done this song and dance in polyamory before, and you've made me dirty little secret in the past too for other reasons. And now you're making those girls you've been going on dates with dirty little secrets from me. It's a repeating habit of ours to excitedly jump into things only to let the excitement die out and realize there isn't really true investment in the idea. You did it with Foxy. When we started this back in March, you were excited by the idea of us being a triad, but then lost any interest in that pretty quick. It became apparent that you just wanted to date and flirt guilt-free. I can't blame you for wanting to feel desired, but there were so many signs that in front of you of telling you that you were. One of them was what made me bring up the conversation in the first place. You never wanted polyamory or non-monogamy. You wanted to be free and single again whilst you felt in a good enough place of mind to date and apply yourself. And I'm glad you're more confident of yourself, that you can apply yourself and feel desired. I can't blame you for wanting to feel that way. However, you probably should have broken up with me first before applying yourself like this, since you are acting off single passing and monogamous passing a privilege. Just be single and monogamous if you're going to pretend to be. But neither of us should have encouraged the other to do what we didn't want the other to do. You didn't really want me to date others, and I didn't want the same for you. If you wanted a break from me so you could feel what it was like to be single, that would have been a better option than us doing non-monogamy and leading on each other and others. I led on Lilac when I full well knew I didn't want to be with her and deluded myself to believe otherwise. It feels like you're leading on the people from the dating apps. And to an extent, it feels like you're leading on me. And I led on you as what my intentions were. It would have been easier for you to have left me for someone else if you had thought I had another partner, which I could have easily lied about getting. Then, it would have been easier for me to say goodbye to this world if you no longer needed me. Every step of this has been nothing but a masturbation of self-harm for me. I wanted to be punished, but then I remembered I had to live through the punishment. We give non-monogamy a bad name. Every polyamorous person I know has been judging us every step, and even all the monogamous people who know what's going on have been too. I don't know what we are, but since you're dating other people, we're clearly not monogamous. But are we even in a relationship? Because we're not in a consensual one right now. I never actually consented to solo polyamory. I never consented to don't ask, don't tell. In fact, I very clearly stated that I didn't want either more than once, and the piece I read to you that you've claimed was me being controlling and guilting you. And when you decided you were going to do it anyway to spite me, I felt so guilty that I didn't say shit about and almost unknowingly encouraged, dismissed as okay. As far as I'm aware, none of those girls have consented to meet with a non-monogamous guy with an established partner that he might not leave for them. From the sounds of it, they've consented to meet with a guy who, probably like them and everyone else on the dating apps, has not chosen to be exclusive with those he is meeting from the apps because he's wanting to get to know them first and see if they click. Though at times, it almost feels like these girls who are strangers to you know more about your dating life than I do, because I'm in a constant state of not knowing if you're dating or not, and only now have I learned that you're playing the field and meeting up with quite the handful of people. Even I'd never done that. I usually meet one or two from dating app between periods of not meeting anyone new and or just deleting the apps. I'm also the same person who never kisses on the first date, but the moment I do, or at least the moment things get sexually intimate, I consider them my partner. Non-exclusivity is not synonymous with non-monogamy. Non-exclusivity is usually prior to getting into a defined relationship when you're testing the waters of one or more people where you haven't made a commitment to be in a relationship yet. Non-monogamy is a relationship dynamic where everyone involved is consented to be in a romantic and or sexual relationship where there are more than two people involved. You can be non-monogamous and non-exclusive, but I do not feel comfortable and never have felt comfortable with consenting to non-exclusive non-monogamy. And if it feels important to understand why I'm pointing out the difference, it's as I said before, these girls are not consenting to date a non-monogamous person with an exclusive partner. I do not consent to an open relationship, and I sure as hell did not consent to still polyamory. I consent to a polyamorous one. Polyamory is ethical non-monogamy. What we have does not feel like ethical non-monogamy. It feels wrong and shady and twisted. I'd be willing to try and consent to non-monogamy again one day when we're in better headspaces. Even willing to consent to it now if you stopped doing what you were doing in regards to the dishonesty and lack of communication and trust. If you had just wanted the ego boost, then a few successful dates would have sufficed. But you're still doing it. You're a hypocrite and a liar and using all those girls as well as me.
Well, thank you so much for watching and hearing me ramble and go crazy as, pardon me, always. July 31st is my birthday, so this will be uploaded the day after my birthday. So yay! You get to see me mentally ramble and lose my mind as always the day after my birthday. Yep, my birthday. Maybe I'll try uploading or something for my birthday. I am going to be gaming with friends at the very least. We're going to do some Jackbox. I'm going to do it on my break because I work. I'm working that day, but I am off Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Literally, Wednesday was the only day I asked for, because Wednesdays when I do D&D with Cappy and our friends. We've only had 2 sessions. They've been canceled so many times. Like, what was the point of me asking for these days off? Because, like, for reference, I've been here since June 18th, and we've only had 2 sessions. That's over a month, nearly 2 months now, and only 2 sessions. So that's like 8 weeks. 2 sessions, 6 weeks. So yeah. And then Tuesdays, I usually do something with Cappy. But yes, thank you so much for watching. I guess actually something I should mention. He did do something sweet. He sent me a choker because my favorite one's broken, which I'm gonna remake something similar. And he sent me some like cupcakes, muffins, because he wanted to make sure I had cake. And then my mom also sent me this really sweet care package as well. She sent me Pride toothpaste and toothbrush, which was an interesting flex, but you know, I appreciate it all the same. She also sent me some snacks and goodies and things like that. She also sent me one of those like electric, like one of those like light mosquito zapper things. So like hopefully that will come in handy. I'm being eaten alive. But yeah, so that was kind. It was a very nice anniversary/birthday gift. And yeah, so thank you so very much for watching for real this time. I hope you. A gay day. Okay, yeah, okay. I forgot my own outro. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a gay day.
Well, they're glad that you stayed, yet you wasted yet another day. Their videos are a bore, but they've got lots more in store. It's Deranged, Royal Fae. Yeah.